What if Uber Eats' recent opportunity to make you more money is actually a really bad thing for you as the driver, but it absolutely benefits the company? Since March of last year, Uber Eats has tricked drivers like you into wasting time, dealing with fraud, risking your own personal safety, and otherwise just enticing you to keep this feature on in the app. What am I talking about? Cash deliveries. You should absolutely never, ever do them. Let's get into these important aspects of how Uber Eats is actually hurting you. You're supposed to be in a better financial position by doing these, but actually it's hurting you in more ways than you can imagine. I'm putting them in order of what is most likely to happen to you. Oh, and I'll show you how to turn off cash deliveries. Also, there is one important thing, an aspect of the customer's order that if you don't handle this properly, it's going to ruin you. But more on that later. A common impact of doing cash deliveries is absolutely just the huge amount of time that you're going to be waste doing them. As food delivery drivers, time is money. We want to spend as little time doing the delivery as possible. And obviously, I am not talking about the interaction with the customer. That's very important. But as you know, like the biggest time waster is trying to find that specific apartment or condo. But I think we're easily going to double or triple our time or more doing these kind of drop-offs when we're expected to make change and accept cash. I recommend if you are going to do them, most likely you should bring your own separate calculator, because just to deconflict, you're going to have the app open. You're going to want to clearly show the customer how much they owe, put it in the calculator, take the amount of cash that they give you, and then very specifically be able to show them how much change is due to them. As you know, imagine this. Restaurant cashiers, they have a cash register to do this. You're going to have to think so clearly if you're going to be making change with the customer. They also have a counter to lay out the cash to prove that they gave you a certain amount, and then also the counter to give them their change. You're not going to have this, and this is just going to make it so much harder. And also, don't ever count on that customer to say, oh, here's the total amount in bills, just keep the change. Don't count on that. Where's your tip in this? Also, it's something on the Uber Eats side. I'll link it in the video description. They offer a pro tip saying that you should keep some change on hand to be able to obviously give them change. And maybe you'll be needing to use this. Well, they're absolutely wrong. Guaranteed you will always definitely be needing to give change to the customer. So this is yet another thing, another piece of equipment that you're going to have to hold on to be a successful Uber Eats food delivery driver. Just don't do it. The next biggest thing is you are going to have to deal with fraud. And I'm talking about outright fraud, true theft. There's a viewer, he commented on the channel. Thank you for doing that too. He said that he did a cash delivery on another gig app like Uber Eats, and the customer gave him fake cash. Guess who had to deal with that? The app didn't care. They didn't do anything about it. And instead, they put the full blame and burden on the driver, not the customer. So guaranteed, if this gig app won't do it, and if you have any experience on Uber Eats like I do, I'm going on 8 years of doing this part-time. Uber Eats does not care about you as the driver. They will stick you with the bill and expect you to pay. So obviously, we're not even getting into the legal risk of you're receiving fraudulent bills. What do you do with them? So I'm sure you're imagining, if this happened to you, how do you know if you're receiving fake bills? Have you handled money enough and have the experience to detect fraud? Are you going to take one of those little yellow pens around with you and risk your tip marking every bill because you're suspicious of the customer? That's not going to go over well. And also, make it more difficult. What about the deliveries that happen at night or in low light? So this is going to make trying to detect counterfeit bills even harder. Oh, and I want to mention this viewer, he said, watch out, Uber Eats drivers, because this will happen to you. And I couldn't find the comment, but Twinson, he's a regular viewer on the channel as well. and he works for a pizza delivery company, and he's got a lot of great experience and stories about customers. And he also has cautioned in the past about what do you do with cash deliveries from customers? There's so many ways that things could go wrong. But good news, Uber Eats and that website, we're going to get to it here in a little bit. They said that there's good news. If you end up with a negative balance, they'll just send you a push notification so you can clear it up. So yippee, what a great deal. You'll get to pay for the thieving customer who tries to scam you with fake bills. And that's so sad because you're not even the criminal getting away with this mess. Let's go ahead and get into that website right now. And again, I'm going to link it in the video description, and I'll put it up right here as well. Uber Eats, they really try to entice you, don't they? Don't those graphics that they're putting up there talking about the opportunities of doing cash deliveries and how you're going to make so much money, do those graphics really indicate how you are just going to be launched into such a better financial position by doing them? No, they don't. And wow, as you move down, they do have a process should something go wrong and you have a negative balance, because obviously if the customer is going to pay you cash, I would think that Uber Eats has their electronic payment on hold, because who's going to trust a customer to place a large food delivery order? They already owe that bill, plus all the Uber Eats fees that are actually your pay, and then don't forget your tip as well. So I'm pretty sure, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that Uber Eats would be holding that. But where's the trust? So the customer's going to have to front a large amount of cash to pay the bill for the food as well, plus the fees and your pay and your tip. Do you think that's going to go smoothly? So if something goes wrong with obviously fraud or any other means of why they can't pay you, I'm pretty sure you can know that Uber Eats is going to get their money, and they're going to get it from you, because right there on the website, it says for some reason, if there's a negative balance, not to worry. Uber Eats is going to send you a push notification. That way you can go ahead and find the money somewhere in your own accounts and pay that bill. So shame on Uber Eats for doing this. And again, you're just putting yourself at risk if you accept cash deliveries. Just talking about this so much, dealing with wasting time and fraud. Now, you could have already been on the road doing another delivery, and that's probably what's going to happen with you as well, from spending so much time with the customer with this nightmare so far. So let's tackle personal safety. This is very important, and I am grateful, just like you, that the likelihood of our personal safety is much less. Guaranteed we will be wasting time. And next, we will be dealing with fraud. But our personal safety is so important because I don't even have to say it. You already know the answer. So do you remember years ago when Uber and Lyft started, why was it so enticing? You know, taxi drivers get robbed all the time. It's because there's no cash. With Uber and Lyft, you can feel free, just random strangers picking up random strangers, having that good feeling of sharing rides, and then that driver would earn some money electronically. So obviously accepting cash, that now puts the risk on us as a driver for being robbed. Again, remember the taxi drivers and back in the day. So when I first started doing rideshare, I was very uncomfortable. I actually didn't want to do it because I didn't want to get robbed. But then my friend from church, he was doing it when he was looking for work. And so I was encouraged by that. And then when I did a little research, there was no cash involved. So sure, it's no big deal. Come on in, hop in, let's give a ride. And I did very well at it, and I enjoyed it because no cash was involved. And not to go on and on about this topic, but look at restaurants and stores and official businesses with delivery drivers. Do you notice they have that sign that says no cash on premise and driver does not carry cash? Why is that needed? I think you already know the answer. Because if a criminal knows that you have the potential for having cash, you're an easy target and you're worthy, because where are the police when you're out in a parking lot by yourself or out on the road? That's kind of scary. That's the reason those businesses have signs when they don't accept cash. And shame on Uber Eats for changing this and trying to do anything to get a cut to make more money at our expense, our personal expense. Our safety, it's so important. Don't take it lightly. Again, this is less likely to happen. But what is more likely to happen is increased confrontation with the customer. And you already have had something like this happen to you. If you have any level of experience, obviously not dealing with cash, but just interacting with the customer. So let's say we're not talking about fraud here. What if the customer doesn't want to pay you for the order? What if they blame you? And they can come up with any excuse. What if the order wasn't done properly and so they want a refund for part of it? Now you're the bank. You're the restaurant having to refund them. You can see this is going to get messy really quick. And you're risking your personal safety the more there's any risk of a confrontation, whether that's just verbal or obviously if the customer got really irate, or heaven forbid if you get irate and then there's some kind of physical violence. That would not be good for anybody. Also, the time of day plays a big difference in this too for confrontations. Is it at nighttime? Or is it hard to see? Is the apartment or the address tucked away? Where are the witnesses? Who's going to see what's going on? And then also, what if the customer's drunk? What if the customer's high? That's very scary. And so you can see that risk of confrontation is there. And I'm not talking about body cameras, but this is one way you can protect yourself. Still, don't do cash deliveries, but use one of those for all your deliveries. It keeps customers on their best behavior. But why invite the risk of increased confrontation by dealing with cash? Don't do it. And even if there's no physical violence or confrontation, well, you know the customer, they can always rate you poorly in the app. And if you do anything that displeases them, they'll take it out on you. Eventually, if your customer rating is low enough or there's problems to where the UberEats company gets involved, you're the one that's going to pay the price. And ultimately, you're risking deactivation to where you're not going to earn any money. So why invite this increased risk by accepting cash? One more thing, speaking of customers, and I am not bad-mouthing customers, but you could categorize some customers as desperate. And I think you know what I'm talking about, especially with alcohol deliveries during the day, other problems of risky customers. So this is a huge red flag, a huge warning sign you should pay attention to. So why would a customer want to pay in cash? Usually when people use the app, it's all electronic, everything's billed through the app. Is it because they don't have enough money? Are they going to have to scrounge around the house finding dollar bills and $5 bills and some pennies and dimes in order to pay the bill? Is that the type of customer you want to risk spending your time with? Do you think they're going to scrounge around and find some more money for your tip? I don't think so. To me, that's a warning sign if the customer has to provide a bunch of change and dollar bills to you just to get their food. I think that elevates the risk of a really poor customer interaction. And again, as the driver, you're going to pay the price because, in case you didn't know, Uber Eats always sides with the customer because they're the ones paying the money. And yes, the small percentage of customers, let's say for whatever reason they're doing this cash delivery, you're going to know it's okay because they're going to come up with a bunch of 20s, large bills, and say, keep the change. Those would be the rare times that obviously we'd all be excited for. But I think most of the time, I think your customer interactions, they're probably going to be bad. In fact, please share in the comments right now for any of the drivers doing these cash deliveries. Let us know how have they gone, because I think it'll be interesting to prove what I'm speculating and see if that's true. Please share exactly what kind of interactions you're having with those customers who pay with cash. Thank you for doing that. That seriously is going to help all drivers. All right, let's get into the app because you need to know how to turn this off. So when you go in there, look at the circle with the lines. That's the preferences on the left side of the screen, depending on where you are. And then right there, you can see trip filters, accept cash, toggle that off and keep it off. That's so easy to do. So just do that right now and you'll thank me later for it. Earlier, I mentioned one big thing that you're probably not thinking of dealing with that customer's order, and that's the food. It's valuable. So think about it with the accepting cash. The customers are scrounging up money to pay for the food order, your base pay, and your tip. But have you ever considered, what if you damage the actual food order or spill some drinks? That food's expensive, and that'll go very poorly for you. And to make it even worse, can you imagine if you spill or damage their order because you're not using the right food delivery bag? I've got good news for you. This upright bag is different. I won't go through it all right now, but look, it's a firm bottom, and this will protect your order from spills and damage. So I've made a video going over all these details, and you are going to be investing in yourself as an independent contractor, protecting your livelihood and doing the very best for the customer. So watch that video next, and I'll see you there.